I want to take a minute here to talk about this shitty side of living off grid. You hear that in the background? That's a blower. Finally, some of my neighbors are getting a taste of blowing and cleaning the road. They really don't know what they're doing. They really don't have the correct tools. They're trying to do the whole thing with hand tools and not use a tractor or something with a blade. So they're finding out how tough road maintenance is, and they're not really maintaining it. They're just sort of mowing the sides a little bit and keeping the leaves up, which that's good, but you got to peel the gravel. If you don't peel and lay gravel, your road don't stay maintained. I've been maintaining the road out here by myself, or I shouldn't say by myself. My neighbor Casey, he maintains from the bridge around to his place. And if I'm away too long and he happens to have his tractor home, he'll come down to my end too and do a pass down the road. And aside from that, I kind of do the same. If he's gone a lot and I happen to have the tractor out, I might make a pass down to his place. Anyways, I've been maintaining the section of road that I use for about 8 years by myself, for the most part. Not entirely, but for the most part. Now we got new neighbors move in who don't do any work. They don't help. And it used to take one backpack blower of fuel to blow the entire road. Now it takes 3 backpack blowers of fuel to blow the road, and it takes a hell of a lot longer. A lot of suckers have grown in on the sides of the road, so I stripped them out and I cut them back a bit so that way there isn't so many suckers getting so tall, raining so many leaves and needles on the road. After I did that, all of a sudden, my neighbors got all concerned. I think maybe somebody might have told a lie or something. I don't know, like maybe I was going to clear the whole road, which I had no intentions of doing. That's a lot of work, and there's a fair amount of diesel expense, and I didn't want to do that. However, for 20 years now, I've had people baiting me into fist fights, trying to push me out of the road, and just generally being nasty to me so that they can control the roadway. Now this roadway is a shared roadway. We have an association. Black's Law defines an association as a loose-knit group of people drawn together by a common cause. In the case of our common cause, we have 3 things: a shared road, a shared bridge, and a shared water system. There's about 40 lots here, and most of the lots have been doubled up, so there's really only about 20 owners or something. I can't remember the exact numbers. I'd have to go back over the records. It's been a while since I've been the secretary-treasurer, and things have changed since I was. But anyway, when we hear about democracy, a lot of people don't really understand what democracy is. And democracy has existed since the time of, the ancient Greeks, Plato, Pythagoras, that kind of thing. So if we look at Plato's Republic, we have laws. And the laws are voted on, then the laws are the maxims that we really aren't supposed to exceed. And the laws are supposed to be there to protect us, take care of us, and that sort of thing. Outside of law, there's a certain amount of freedom we're given. Within a corporation, they can run like dictatorships because the guy who signs the paper, he's the one liable for the whole corporation. And as such, he has dictatorial powers because of the liability that he has to take on. So when you're taking on a business, people need to understand that. It doesn't have to be a democratic process. However, typically, the typical definition of a democracy is ruled by majority, which means you sit there and you have a vote amongst your little group, and whatever the majority decides becomes the rule. Now, in a republic, no matter how many votes you take, your voting does not supersede the maxims of law. So if you're operating outside of democratic power and you're trying to extend that power into state realm, like what I have going on here, these people are trying to make it appear as though because there's a majority that they somehow can have a dictatorship on the road. And it's a gang-stalking behavior, and it's not friendly and it's not nice at all. And they're simply doing it because they're control freaks. They're complete narcissists, and there's a gang of them. Nothing worse than fighting a gang of narcissists, especially when one of them's a lawyer. Yippee. not a lot of fun in the outback sometimes, but this is reality. So it's like, when you go to the outback, you better be ready to deal with bullshit, because you're probably going to get a lot of it. I've been out here for 20 years. I've never stolen anything, broke anybody's stuff. You know, I've been respectful of people's privacy. I don't cross the line and go on people's fucking property ever. And if I do, I have an invitation first. I call, I send a letter, I make notice that I'm going to be arriving. I don't just show up. That's rude. I don't do that. That's bad business practice. My reputation's important to me. Well, anyways, back to democratic process. When you have like a homeowner association, there's voting going on. That's a democratic process, and oftentimes there's a trick that goes on where the members will get together, have a private little meeting and say, yeah, this is how we're going to vote on this issue or that issue. You'll be the one that brings it up. I'll second it. And then everybody else will vote on it and bring it in. After that happens, then there's an assumption that we're all governed by this rule. However, we often have to take this new rule and we have to see if the mob is trying to supersede the rule of law. And often they do. The road, in my case, is a shared thing. I have a right to use that road. I have a right to work on it, maintain it, and do so free from threat and coercion. And that's all I've been getting is threat and coercion. And it's been going on for like 20 years. It kind of ebbs and flows like the tide. Sometimes it gets really bad, and then people back off for a while, and then they get shitty again. So I'm going through shitty times again. And I just cleaned the road up last year. Now I've got a neighbor who thinks he's planting new trees in the roadway where I did the work. So it's like, once again, I got to send more legal notices, make more complaints, and these people know that, and they what they're doing is intentional. They know that it ain't right, but they figure that they can call this common usage and the way we maintain it when it's not. They've just been gradually forcing their way into the road, stealing the benefit of the road usage for themselves like it's their yard. And then they like try to covet that piece of the road and run you off anytime you get close to it, when you have a right to be there and use it and not be threatened. So I'm getting a lot of that. I'm tired of it. 1 to 20 is about what I'm facing here, me against them. It ain't fun, but I guess I'm going to have to get a lawyer in on this now, because it's gotten stupid enough to where it's time to quash this controversy and squelch the noise. You know, this has gone on long enough, and it's just rude. It's not reasonable-minded, and reasonable-mindedness is where everything starts. So you're going to face a lot of that in the outback, depending on where you move. Sometimes the neighbors are really cool. Sometimes you got prick situations like what I'm dealing with, where you have gang-stalking narcissists to deal with. So, yeah, be prepared. Just because you go somewhere cheap, don't think you got privacy in the woods. You may be having more privacy hiding amongst the millions of people in the city. When you go out to the woods, you might find you're in a microscope and you're really not that far away from what you thought you were. So, keep that in mind. You're going off-grid, plan to be a fighter. If you ain't a fighter, just stay in the city with the rest of them.